all countries, no matter their economic or political status, would benefit from increased peace building.
I believe the information that you have given will go far in enhancing peace in the Ruto County, in our sub-county, and also in the whole of Kenya. For we are one people, and we must embrace one another, love one another, live as one people in one country.
This is our country, and it's only us who can build it. It's only us who can create the kind of peace that we want. That's why we talk about amani pamoja.
Thank you very much for your questions, our guest of honor. That is a preview of what has happened and what it intends to achieve. I now take this opportunity to welcome the chairperson. He of nani alikufanya general in Sierra Leone, General Daniel Ismail Opande, who is an angel in some countries. I don't know whether he has such a status within our country. He was the one who led the process, and as a military man, he handled all the obstacles very well to give us a wonderful document. Please, let's put our hands for the General. General, welcome.
As they say, generals don't die, but they just fade away. And I think I'm fading away. You are Honorable Mr. Mudavadi, Dr. Mudavadi. Can I have your authority to introduce the people who did the job that we are going to present today, just to introduce them, so that you can see the faces before I make a very, short speech. Please, Mama, lead your group. You can do it there.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Irene Chepoisho Tulel, a member of the Independent Panel of Advisors. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jamboni. My name is Dr. Fatma Ahmed Ali, and I'm a member of the IPA.
Well, good morning, beautiful humans. Welcome to our event today. Well, I am Patricia Vativo, a member of the IPA, and obviously represented the young people, and we're very happy to have this today. Thank you.
Good morning, Mukhtar Abdiogle, member of the IPA.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Benson Owiti, a member of the IPA. You are most welcome.
Thank you. Before I introduce myself, we have other members who are not here present with us. Father Mutie and Sheikh Abdullahi and Madam Kamau. They are not here, but their souls are with us, and they wish us all the best. I'm called Mama Shamsa from Mombasa. Nasikia naongea Kiswahili, I'm the Vice Chair of General Opande. Welcome.
The Prime Cabinet Secretary, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I feel greatly honored to welcome you to this launch of Peace Building Architecture Review Report, which we have worked on. The review process journey began in March 2023, led by the independent panel of advisors consisting of 13 distinguished individuals drawn from Kenya's peace-building community, some of whom are here and maybe in the audience. The IPA, as we were, and we are still known to be called, in other words, independent panel of advisors, ably provided strategic leadership and direction to the review process. I wish to thank them all most sincerely for their tireless efforts that contributed to the successful completion of this review process. The panel undertook an extensive countrywide process to learn from Kenyans with the help of peace builders from across the country. During this time, we had an opportunity to hear thousands of stakeholders groups, technical experts, young and old government officials, and individuals from across the Kenyan society. Through this report, we endeavor to raise the voices to the ears of our political leaders, peace and security actors, and our partners in peace building. That's our major purpose. The review presents what we believe is a necessary and realistic vision for the next generation, peace and prosperity for our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past several decades, the people of Kenya have been engaged in conversations on what peace entails for our people and how it should be nurtured and protected by the state and society. In a country as diverse as ours, the answer is to ask hard questions, self-reflective questions, and to follow the issues diligently and independently. Similarly, I would like to express our gratitude and appreciation to the National Steering Committee on Peace Building and Conflict Management, NSC, the UN Peace and Development Team for their role in providing ample support and resources to the review process. Lastly, I wish to thank the many Kenyans who took the time to share their perspectives with us. It is through their collective will and commitment that peace in our country will remain vibrant for the next generations. I salute you all. Thank you.
Let's put our hands together for the General again, please. Thank you very much, General. As you could see, once in a while he would stop. The level of discipline is one we cannot match. I want to take this opportunity to invite one of the IPA members to present our report to the Honorable Dr. Mudavadi.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary, Bwana Musalia Mudavadi, Bwana Principal Secretary, Bwana Omolo, Honorable Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, Mungu saidia. It's indeed a thrill to be here today to share this report with Kenyans. I will not be able to repeat what has been said, but Your Excellency, Your Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary, on the outset, let me say, when we were appointed by the Principal Secretary, the mandate was to study Kenya's peace and conflict ecosystem. The commitment we made under General Opande was to have a compact that is not only disruptive, but one that ensures our posterity, that secures our preferred future. And that in the recommendations, it should not be a ritual. Whatever we have said, we must be able to walk the talk. Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary, as we go into the details of the report, 3 key elements stand out. And I say this on behalf of the IPA members. For us to walk the journey, there must be consistency and commitment to these recommendations by the government. In our mind, when we are doing all this, we agreed we need to establish a significant legacy for His Excellency William Samoei Ruto. And we are glad he has been very supportive. Secondly, Honorable Prime Secretary, is that securing peace is not an easy enterprise. It requires harmonized ideas, strategies, and coordination of resources. For every dollar the partners give, the Kenya government is a request that they commit also to support corresponding resources for us to secure a better Kenya. Thirdly, Honorable Prime Secretary, in doing this, our conversation has been very disruptive. We had radical candor amongst ourselves to continue and harmonize different institutions with different mandate to secure the Kenya we want. And I must thank the Honorable Principal Secretary Omolo, a very humble man. He has worked with us in the journey. And for purpose of continuity, so that we don't start this thing afresh, he has been very supportive. We have called him at odd hours, and he has truly supported us. For purpose of continuity, it is the contention of the IPA members, unless he climbs up the ladder as Cabinet Secretary, for us to retain him as Cabinet Secretary, the Principal Secretary for continuity. Hiyo ni yetu, na ni muombe kwako. The first slide. Go to the second one. Yes, in this background, Honorable Principal Secretary, Prime Secretary, is that in doing so, we said we don't want a Kenya that is perpetually fixated in conflict, that we seek to manage the risk in the future. Managing the risk in the future means managing the present. By focusing on the present, then we can design a better alternative for a better future. In doing so, we looked at the key drivers of conflict, which includes the electoral conflicts and the deeper causes of conflict in our country, mainly land, resource, climate change, ethnicity. Ethnicity has been the biggest driver of conflict in this country. And we want to applaud His Excellency the President for reaching out to leaders in this country who feel they are out of the orbit, especially having the Honorable Prime Minister and the former President in the conversation. This Kenya we prefer is a Kenya that will be built by all. Honorable Cabinet Secretary, we also acknowledge that poverty is very dehumanizing. Unless we fix poverty, peace will be a mirage. In fixing poverty again, it means to entrench the promise of devolution. So far we have done good strides, but we can do better. Conflict creates multiple impacts, such as economic loss, and flight of, and as has been seen in the Mandamano desire by the young people and Kenyans in general. Therefore, this gives us an opportunity to redirect our political will, which His Excellency the President has given, build our technical and adaptive capabilities in securing a better Kenya, and also allocating resources for sustainable peace. Let's go to the, this has been said, let's go to the findings for purpose of time. Honorable Prime Secretary, in doing well with what we are recommending, we made a deeper analysis with technical experts provided by the UN and other local Kenyan experts in examining the current architecture of conflict. We also sought to balance the conflicting trends and sequencing for peace building and look at the securitized responses that we usually engage in. We also looked at the need for state financing for peace building, and that's what I said in my opening remarks, and also acknowledge the significant contribution and goodwill from the international community and partners. Also examine the nexus between violent extremism, peace building, and the preferred Kenya we want. Mediation is also a critical component, not only for peace at the national level, but also at the household level. What we have also realized, unless Kenyans are self-aware and they are committed to peace in their homes, then we can have a bigger Kenya in our counties and the national. Digital peace building, the future is digital, Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary. The nexus between science, technology, and innovation in building peace and enabling our young people to tap into those is a critical component. Local and traditional peace building by leveraging indigenous knowledge, securing the knowledge of our ancestors, and also ensuring in dispute resolution. This, for us, Honorable Cabinet Secretary, will help us secure regional peace and security. As you have heard, both Mali and Ghana reached out to us for purpose of partnership because our research pieces were not only deep, but they were clinically targeted on key areas we need to look at. Honorable Cabinet Secretary, a month ago I was in Sierra Leone by a forum organized by an American think tank called the Catalyst for Peace. I also conveyed greetings from General Opande. Sir, if you are in that room, the standing ovation his name was accorded is because he helped secure that country. Our appeal as IPA members, for not any other reason, for the singular purpose of honoring General Opande, sir, we appeal to His Excellency the President and through you to have this new peace agenda implemented accordingly. Secondly, sir, we also acknowledge the tactical and deliberate leadership of our Principal Secretary. Actually, he has taken enormous efforts to say the responsibility of Kenyans is on your shoulders. And what we said, there will be never again will there be a conflict in this country. But again, in having the new peace fund, which we envisage in the harmonized institutional programming, there must be sound integrity and personal accountability in fixing the conflict in this country. Finally, Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary, our recommendations are premised on 4 pillars. One is the new statement of aspirations of the new National Peace Agenda for Peace, which I think, and I truly trust that our Principal Secretary has shared with you. A new vision for political representation. This includes the young people, the young women, the youth, and the emerging women leaders. And I'm glad to report, Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary, where is my brother, Mesengeli? He is now Gen Z friendly because of this report. Thank you very much. And he has actually shown commitment in our follow-up engagements and dialogue because we need to build our institutions to help the peace and the security of every Kenyan. Thirdly, Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary, we must also seek deliberately and be intentional in our commitment to addressing long-standing and emerging conflict drivers, with particular focus, Honorable Cabinet Secretary, is on the issue of land. The nexus between land, the operative cartels and systems, the dispossession of victims. And when agencies highlight these issues, it's only government that can be a guarantor for peace. And His Excellency, we have seen some efforts His Excellency the President has committed to this, but we want to walk this talk more. The fourth, sir, is our plan for reforming the national peace institutions. Sir, my brother, the Principal Secretary, knows this. We had a very serious pushback amongst the multiple institutions in trying to harmonize this, because change is always difficult. But we said, if we truly want to secure a better Kenya, a different Kenya, we must think differently and act accordingly. And I think the Ministry of Interior has truly given us that support. Therefore, the implementation mechanism for the new peace agenda, Honorable Cabinet Secretary, Prime Cabinet Secretary, it is the contention of the IPA members. When we are having our conversation, sir, we know you are a stabilizing voice in this government, and we want you to be a champion for peace. Even as we secure and continue with this trend, we are truly confident that His Excellency the President will rock this agenda and secure a better Kenya, both in word and in deed. With those few remarks and the powers conferred upon me by the IPA members, I call upon the Principal Secretary and our own Prime Cabinet Secretary and the ambassadors for me to deliver the report, and if you could come to the stage. Sometimes when you are given power, you exercise it accordingly. Thank you very much. Go down this idea. I give to the Principal Secretary and I give it to you and the ambassadors because they are partners. Wacha kwanza nikupatia pile picha. Nikupatie. Mko tayari? We can share as it continues. No, patia huyo. Mkono. You need to stand next to her. All right. There we go.
Thank you very much, Mukhtar Ogle, IPA, and our guest of honor, as well as our ambassadors and my boss. I think we have a document implemented that can change this country. Allow me now to invite the Principal Secretary, Ministry of Interior and National Administration, who is also my boss, Dr. Raymond Omolo, to continue with the rest of the program. Please, let's put our hands together. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Bare, for taking us through the first part of the program. Now we are at the penultimate stage where we will have just 3 to 4 speakers before we invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration to speak to us. Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Your Excellency, the ambassadors, colleagues, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, the County Commissioner, members of independent institutions, colleagues from the clergy, led by the Archbishop of the Anglican Church. Allow me to say good morning once again. Good morning. Yes, without much ado, I would want to invite Ambassador Caroline of Sweden to come to stage and make a few remarks. And as she comes, may we give her a big round of applause to welcome her. Yeah.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Mudavadi, PS Somolo, generals, all protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, and distinguished guests. It is my great honor and privilege to once again be a part of this significant initiative, the launch of the Peacebuilding Architecture Review Report, which has culminated in the development of the new National Agenda for Peace in Kenya. The Embassy of Sweden and myself are very grateful for this invitation to participate today. Sweden has, since the independence of Kenya, consistently supported efforts to realize human rights and fundamental freedoms in this country and beyond. And over the past several years, Kenya has made significant strides in building a more peaceful and secure society. This progress is largely attributed to the Kenya Peace and Security Program, which was funded by Sweden and other donors and implemented by the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, between 2014 and 2019. And this program has been instrumental in laying the foundation for sustainable peace and community security across the country. When I arrived in Kenya in September 2020, I came from a conflict-ridden country, Afghanistan, and I saw with my own eyes there that conflict means no development. But one of my first field trips I did was to Mombasa and Kilifi, and I did that together with the UNDP representative at the time, with the representatives from Ministry of Interior, and with Reverend Kobia from NCIC, to observe and to interact with all the local organizations involved in the program on the coast. The Kenya Peace and Security Program focused on several key areas to strengthen the institutional frameworks, to enhance the capacity of national and local institutions to manage and resolve conflicts. The community-based peace initiative, recognizing that sustainable peace must be rooted in local communities. This program, over those years, supported numerous grassroots initiatives. They empowered the communities to take an active role in peace building, fostering dialogue, and promote reconciliation. Address root causes and conflict. The program tackled underlying issues such as poverty, inequality, and marginalization, which often fuel conflict. We hope by that to create or help to create a more inclusive and equitable society. Promoting gender equality. It was a strong emphasis on the women in peace building. It supported an initiative that increased women's participation in peace processes and decision-making at all levels. And, important on the coast, countering violent extremism. In responding to a growing threat on violent extremism, the program implemented strategies to prevent radicalization and promote social cohesion. From that program, there were great pragmatic milestones realized that the embassy have helped in shaping the peace-building architecture that is being launched today. Some of those include enhanced partnership and capacity for state and non-state actors in conflict research, peace-building and cohesion. Enhanced collaboration between key stakeholders at the national but also at the county level to address boundary disputes, respond to threats to peace, and to develop policy frameworks for peace building at all levels. Review and approval of the National Cohesion and Peace Building Bill of the National Cohesion and Integration Act, providing a framework for appointment of commissioners and harmonizing of peace structures. And updating, automating, and engendering of the National Conflict Early Warning Response System and devolving it to county levels. All these achievements are a testament of the power of collaboration and partnership. The program brought together government agencies, civil society organizations, community leaders, and international partners, all working together towards a common goal of peace and security in Kenya. But despite significant progress, Kenya faces several pressing issues that required urgent attention to ensure holistic peace and tranquility. The National Police Service relationship with the public is a critical concern. Enhancing respect for human rights, ensuring that officers wear their uniforms and display registration plates while on duty, and fostering a trust with the community is an essential step towards building confidence in this very important service. Peace and security are paramount equally for both urban and rural residents. Widespread corruption also poses a significant threat to Kenya's development, but also to its security, as illicit funds often finance actions that go against peace and security, like terrorism, but also large-scale cattle rustling and illicit trade with cattle that we know goes on in the north. Ensuring access to justice, natural resources, and the protection of rights without the need to pay a bribe is crucial. Addressing these injustices is vital to prevent conflict and to promote a just society. For Sweden, who together with Norway has financed the work of the new National Agenda for Peace, the right of the poor and the oppressed to the same protection and justice as everyone else is fundamental. As we launch this peace-building architecture review report today, we are reminded of the critical importance of sustained commitment and collaboration. This report not only celebrates past achievements, but also provides a really strategic roadmap for the future. And it outlines important recommendations for enhancing peace-building efforts and ensure that progress made is both sustained but also expanded to new areas. My deepest gratitude goes to all those who have, during many, many days and hours and weeks, contributed to this significant endeavor. Let us continue to work together with renewed vigor and determination to build a more peaceful, secure, and prosperous Kenya for all its people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Now let me invite the Norwegian ambassador, representative, to come and also make his remarks because your support and contribution has played a big part in getting us to this place. Welcome, Excellency.
Thank you. Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary Mudavadi, Principal Secretary Dr. Omolu, colleagues from the diplomatic corps and the UN, and first of all, congratulations to the members of the National Steering Committee on Peace Building and Conflict Management. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is also an honor for us, Norway, to be here on the launch of the review of the Peace Building Architecture Report. And again, I would like to commend the members of the National Steering Committee on Peace Building and Conflict Management for an impressive work, and really delighted to have a copy of the report. Norway, as Sweden, is proud to be a supporter of Kenya's work on the peace building architecture, and we work together with the UN. This work has received deserved attention and praise outside Kenya, and especially in the UN Peace Building Commission in New York, where we had a meeting earlier this year, where we also, with Kenya, basically were highlighting experiences and knowledge from this work. Kenya's peace building architecture fits very well with UN's new agenda for peace. Peace diplomacy is a prominent feature of both Norwegian and Kenyan foreign policy. And we have history together here. Kenya played a key role in brokering the comprehensive peace agreement in Sudan with the support of the Troika countries UK, US and Norway. And today we also support the Tumaini initiative on South Sudan. Norway sees Kenya as an important actor in global peace diplomacy. But I think it's worth reminding that prevention is the most effective, most responsive and the most cost-effective way of dealing with conflict. And this report, the Peace Building Architecture Review Report, focusing a lot on prevention, has many strong points, and I would like to highlight a few. First of all, the Peace Building Report takes a very practical approach. It's an actionable report. And I think we said earlier today, we walk the talk. Peace building as a concept is often seen as an academic and conceptual and not a very practical. Peace talks, such as the Tumaini initiative here in Kenya, is somewhat easier to understand and grasp than, for example, fostering a culture of peace. The practical approach towards peace building with extensive consultations in order to ensure local ownership is the strength of this architecture. And it's a really impressive work that you have done in having those consultations. Second, I would also like to highlight inclusion and social cohesions. These are at the heart of the matter, and especially the importance of women's role in peace building, like my colleague from Sweden also highlighted, because effective peace building, or peacekeeping for that matter, can't be done without women and women-led organizations. Women are half of humanity. They bring to the table valuable frontline experience and unique perspectives, something that we simply cannot do without. Women's participation and engagement are important for effective peace building in the long run. And also, I would like to highlight the last point that we have also been inspired by the review, and especially the meeting we had in New York, because we have taken note of the value of having a very comprehensive approach to peace building and prevention, basically a whole of government approach. In Norway, we don't have a whole of government approach, but rather many different sector approaches. We have one strategy for dealing with organized crime and one for violent extremism, to name a few. So it makes a lot of sense for us to study the report we have and study the process that you have to see if we could also improve our own whole of government approach and also include civil society and all kind of actors that you have done. That is, I must say, that is really impressive. So in conclusion, it has been a pleasure to be part of this peace building architecture review process. No doubt that this needs a long-term perspective, but the approach that Kenya has taken will prove to be important not only for Kenya, but also as a textbook example to draw inspiration from for many other countries. And I think that was one of the really inspiring things we had these meetings in New York, And it was not a hot conflict in a sense. It was actually talking about prevention. And this is something we do very rarely. So this is really, I mean it when I say it's a textbook example. But it goes without saying that in order for the peace-building architecture to succeed in Kenya, there needs to be strong political backing, like we see today, and engagement. So thank you so much, and I wish you good luck.
Another round of applause to His Excellency. Now let me invite the Archbishop of the Anglican Church, Olesa Pitt, to make a few remarks, and then I'll invite the next speaker. Welcome.
Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Principal Secretaries, Ambassadors, Your Excellencies, General Pande, who led this process, and your team, the Provincial Administration, and all of us, good morning. We are so delighted today to come here and receive this great architecture for peace building in Kenya, which has been a great effort by a team of eminent persons put together to review and reflect on the Kenyan journey towards peace. The Bible reminds us, and it has not come at about a time like now when you're about to celebrate Christmas, the birth of Jesus Christ, which the Bible in Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6 predict that a son will be born. His name will be called the Prince of Peace, Wonderful Counselor, the Guide to Life. And as we gather to celebrate in this festive season of the Christian family the birth of the Prince of Peace, it is him who has said to us, "My peace I leave to you." The writer of the letter of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 14, also reminds us, as humanity, that we have a calling to pursue peace with all men, and that peace, which without it, none of us can see the Lord. That also demonstrates the way to our Maker is the way of peace. And unless we have that peace, we cannot have a relationship. Peace building, and I have seen in the 4 pillars, is all about relationship building. It has to be anchored to what connects us as society. It has to be anchored to the heart and to the mind. That we must understand that my peace is your peace. And my peace and your peace become our community peace. My community peace and the other community peace become our peace. And we all put our peace together. We will have a peaceful Kenya, a nation we shall all be proud of, a country that we shall drive. For without peace, there will be no development. Without peace, there will be no future for our children. Without peace, there will be no hope, even for us who believe in eternity, of entering into eternal life. For conflict breed sin, and sin annihilates us from the presence of God. So mine today is to say a big thank you for the team. As a church, we have been involved in Baringo, in peace building. We have been involved in Narok, especially the western part of it. And we have teamed up with many other actors in this pursuit of peace. May God bless us as we continue to journey in this endeavor to make our community life engaging and relational. For without genuine relationships, we cannot be a people. So later when we come to close with a prayer and bless this document, we will speak God's blessings to this nation, that the peace of this nation become the peace of the neighborhood and the region of the Horn of Africa. And Kenya, let us not lose what God has given us, for we don't know the preciousness of what we have until we lose it. Let us not allow ourselves to lose this. May God bless you.
Another round of applause to the Archbishop. Your Excellency, with your permission, allow me to invite Madalena, who is representing the county rep for UNDP and by extension also the resident coordinator for the UN in Nairobi. Thank you.
The Prime Cabinet Secretary, NCS, Interior and National Administration, Honorable Representative of the IPA, led by the Able General, and all members of the Interreligious Council of Kenya and Kenya, and on behalf of the UNDP representative, both who couldn't be here this morning and they send their apologies, I want to congratulate the government of Kenya for conducting such a comprehensive review of its building architecture and now this launch. Kenya is indeed the first UN member state to do so, and this is a testament to the country's commitment to conflict prevention and sustaining peace. I thank the government of Norway and Sweden for providing financial support for this review. Their support demonstrates their commitment to multilateral action for prevention, peace building, and sustaining peace. I would also like to recognize the role played by the over 10,800 Kenyans from various sectors of society who participated in this review led by the independent panel of advisors. The IPA oversaw an inclusive, representative, and independent process that ensured no one was left behind in this consultative process. In carrying out this review, Your Excellency, Kenya has demonstrated practical ways of investing in national prevention capacities and infrastructure for peace. Indeed, the UN Secretary General in his agenda for peace calls for a renewed commitment for prevention that takes a whole of government and a whole of society approaches grounded in sustainable development that leaves no one behind. The 34 recommendations of this report made by the IPA are robust and intended to address the different drivers and enablers of conflicts, of violence on conflict in Kenya. The IPA, as was presented by Mr. Mokhtar, presented strategies and risks that Kenya, with support from the UN and other stakeholders, can begin to address. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the Pact for the Future, agreed to by the UN member states during the UNGA, emphasizes that member states bear primary responsibility for preventing conflict and building peace in their own countries. It also calls on member states to increasingly involve youth and women in decision-making at all levels. This is indeed key to building trust and repairing broken social contracts. Your Excellency, as the honorable leader from the church just mentioned, Kenya indeed for the UN and for UNDP is a beacon of stability in the region. I personally come from South Sudan, and the agreement for South Sudan was negotiated and signed in Kenya. The region looks to Kenya for stability, the region looks to Kenya for strength, and the region looks to Kenya for leading and ensuring the development is carried forward. On behalf of UNDP and behalf of the UN in Kenya, we commit our support under the leadership of Government of Kenya and support of the development community and the civil society to help Kenya in implementing the recommendations of this report. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, allow me to make very brief remarks. First is to appreciate this team of eminent Kenyans, led by General Opande, Mama Shamsha. Literally, I could go on, and I remember when we began the conversations. First, of course, the decision to appoint these eminent personalities, and then when they went out to engage various communities, and they did a robust assignment. They literally went to every corner of this country. If you look at the raw data, and it went through a lot of iterations. I remember on occasions we'll have early morning meetings just to look at what they were picking up. And in those engagements, there are very strong views on a number of things. I remember at one point I was trying to push back on certain things. But at the end of the day, I really appreciated their level of engagement and independence and genuineness to try and help this country move forward. When we were doing this review, it was undertaken in a period where we were enjoying peace as a country. And I remember when the presentation was made to His Excellency the President, he was very impressed with the work that the team had done. But I remember him challenging them further to look into certain aspects of it, particularly the political question on how we can be able to still have and entertain varying political views and keep the country peaceful. Then we were out there showcasing what the country had done. We went to the UN, and together with Norway and Sweden, again, these are very exceptional countries, not just because they are from the West, but there's so much that they've done, and there's so much that as the entirety of humanity, we look up to these two countries. But then they were also able to put in resources to enable this work to be undertaken. Initially, we had intended to launch this before March. Then we moved it to June. And when we were about to launch it, then whatever happened, and we were all in this country. And for me, this just goes to underscore how fragile societies are, and particularly our society. That on the backdrop of celebrating that we were undertaking this exercise when we were peaceful, a few weeks later, things really degenerated. And some of the issues that were being brought up were some of the issues that had been picked up by these eminent Kenyans. And it is my hope that when we look at the four broader areas of focus that they are recommending, would be able to take them forward. And for me, again, it's a call to the rest of the country that we have a responsibility to jealously guard against our peaceful coexistence, against elements or things that will take away that peaceful coexistence. When this review was happening, of course, it was happening against the backdrop of what had happened in Shakahola. So that ordinarily you think about things that will make a society not peaceful, and religion hardly comes into the picture. But this happened right within our borders. We lost more than 400 Kenyans. We continue to lose Kenyans on account of several conflicts. And lastly, Your Excellency, there are new emerging areas of concern. How well do we utilize technology so that then, instead of getting or maximizing the benefit that technology affords us, we discourage ourselves and Kenyans, and particularly our youth, from utilizing technology in a negative way that then becomes a threat to our peace. Lastly, is to appreciate the UN family, particularly the United Nations Development Programme and the UN Resident Coordinator's Office for the support and for their ability to work together with us on this journey. And we are looking forward to continuing on that path as we go on in the implementation of this architecture. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want to humbly request that we be upstanding as I invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration to speak to us. Karibu. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Please be seated. Dr. Raymond Omolo, Principal Secretary for Internal Security and National Administration, members of the National Steering Committee on Peace Building and Conflict Management, members of the Independent Panel of Advisors, representatives of Sweden, Norway, and the United Nations Resident Coordinator's Office, and the United Nations Development Programme, Archbishop Olesapit, other stakeholders and partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am delighted to join you during this significant event for the launch of the Peace Building Architecture Review Report. On behalf of the government, I wish to thank the Independent Panel of Advisors, chaired by General Opande, the United Nations and embassies of Norway, Sweden, and other partners who have worked tirelessly to conduct this review and prepare the report. The findings and recommendations from the review process resonate with the challenges we face in sustaining and deepening peace in Kenya. Let us acknowledge this team of patriotic Kenyans who are committed to ensuring our country and our people enjoy peace and stability. Deepening and sustaining peace is a top priority of our government. Peace is an important precondition for us to achieve socio-economic transformation anchored on the bottom-up transformation agenda priorities and the Kenya Vision 2030. The moment is here for us, individually and collectively, to articulate a new national agenda for peace, to enhance shared prosperity among all communities across the country. And while we face these complex challenges from time to time, such deep self-reflections are important for ensuring we remain resilient as we build a more prosperous country. The recommendations of this report provide an opportunity for us to engage constructively on the issues that our young people have raised in recent months. It offers a new opportunity for us to strengthen our peace-building institutional arrangements. Implementation of the recommendations of this report will be a great first step in demonstrating that the government is listening and responding to the voices of the people. I have therefore requested PS Omolo to spearhead the implementation process, including constituting a broad-based team that will ensure no one is left behind in this great initiative. This process will demonstrate our resolve to deal with the escalating digital threats to our peace, which are manifested in information manipulation, online toxic content, fake news, and incitement. This should be prioritized in the implementation process. I'm well aware that peace building work requires enhanced funding from the government and partners in this ecosystem. Let me reaffirm the government's commitment to enhance funding for this initiative, even as we appreciate the resource constraints that we face. Let me conclude by acknowledging all our partners, and I will repeat, including the United Nations, Sweden, and Norway. Your technical and financial support, including helping us to set up a peace-building fund, will strengthen our journey towards a more peaceful country. I also wish to appreciate all the stakeholders that you represent during this forum. Your perspectives will enable us to achieve strong consensus on how the recommendations of this review should be implemented. Ladies and gentlemen, before I formally launch the report, let me just highlight one or two things. First, let me echo the remarks made by the Archbishop that we should never take peace for granted. It is a gift from God. I think that peace is eternal. It should never die. And even in a moment of conflict, we may say peace has retreated, but it has not died. Secondly, I would just want to flag what we are all experiencing in different parts of the world following the very prominent global conflicts. We know the Middle East is a melting pot. First, you see the Israel-Gaza issue. Now Syria has rolled in. Lebanon has rolled in. All these challenges have a very serious impact across the globe. There's the Ukraine-Russian conflict, which keeps on threatening to escalate into a very serious confrontation. There are those areas like Afghanistan, as mentioned by the ambassador here. Then we have the African conflicts, which, because communication is not effective, it's not as robust in those other parts, tend to be forgotten. In Sudan, it's indicated that maybe up to 61,000 people have died. Massive displacement. It remains the largest humanitarian crisis globally at this point in time, but it receives very minuscule attention in the media. In Africa, it is estimated that conflicts have forced 100 million children out of school. 100 million. That is 2 Kenyas. If we take an average of 50 million as our population today. So 2 Kenyas are out of school in Africa. What will be the outcome when they are not channeled through an academic process? We then have the serious impact, as highlighted very carefully, on matters of investment, the economy, food security, delivery of health. All these are very challenging times. Then we have the disruption around technology. And Your Excellencies, I don't know, but let me go a little bit old school. lately you'll find in diplomatic language, there's now again and again the repeated language, people-to-people contact. It's coming back again. People-to-people conversations. And sometimes just step back and ponder. If you are to have a conversation, how does it feel when your conversation is virtual? What is really your personal experience? Suppose you want to dialogue about peace, but you're doing it virtually. How tangible do you feel it's getting to you? So the virtual aspect of it, the technology may bring in convenience, it may cut costs, but it can never replace the people-to-people contact. That is why it is important that we must engage and support each other so that we can truly harness the peace that is there. The fake news, I'll give you just one quick example, because it's real and it happens every other day, and we really have to be careful. The Inspector General of Police, I think it was earlier in this week, his deputy is here. They left Nairobi and went to Marsabit because on the social media there was this story that 10 miners had been buried in the mines in Marsabit. They left, they went there physically, and it turned out to be fake news. Nobody had died or been buried in the mines. But because somebody is being socially irresponsible, you take away the Inspector General and his team to a place on a wild goose chase, then you vacate them from an area that is needy. That is not responsible. And these are some of the challenges that we all have to acknowledge exist, and we have to deal with them. Different countries are dealing with them differently. The other day I had a conversation with a section of the media, and they were asking, is the government of Kenya surveilling its citizens? Are they trampling on their privacy? Are they interfering into the freedoms? And so I responded and I told them, please look at Article 31 of our Constitution. The whole aspect of privacy, including privacy about your communication, is enshrined in the Constitution. It is enshrined in the Constitution. And our courts, if somebody believes that there's an infringement, nowadays people don't hesitate to take anybody to court. Whether it is from the toppest position in the executive to any position, we all face courts nowadays. So if somebody is really aggrieved, there's an avenue to be able to tackle and address those issues. However, I also asked the person who was raising the question that let us also face it. If you land in Heathrow Airport, if you land in New York, cameras or not? If you landed in Dubai, do we have cameras or don't we? If you went to the airport in Stockholm or in Norway, there are cameras. There are cameras. It all depends on what you do with the information you have. They are there to help in fostering security. Prevention is better than cure. So we need to perhaps reflect on some of these things a little more broadly, so that we do not sometimes create a situation where there's no real issue. But our constitution, which is very robust, safeguards the other aspects. But because today we are talking peace, let me just maybe conclude by drawing your attention to the famous statement by an Oriental sage, and it said, "The wise win the war before the fight, while the ignorant fight to win the war." Let us be the wise. Let us dialogue. Let us talk, so that we don't have to fight. That, to me, is a very, very critical message as we wind up the year. And I want to wish you all a very prosperous Christmas and a Happy New Year, the year 2025. So it is now my pleasure and honor to declare the Peace Building Architecture Review Report officially launched. Let us move with speed to the implementation phase. God bless you all. Asante sana.
We want to proceed to official launching of the report. Kindly remain seated. Kindly remain seated. Kindly remain seated. Because of the live coverage, I'll ask a few people to join in. Kindly remain seated. The photographers on this side, kindly. Are you okay there? Kindly. Let us all count. Kindly sit down. Kindly sit down. Everybody sit down. We will share with you. We will share. We will share. In the count of 3, let's all count together. 3, 2, 1. Makofi na vigelegele tafadhali. The dancers? Are the dancers here? Asanteni sana, asanteni sana. I was hoping you were joining them. Yeah, kindly. Asanteni sana. Now we will take group photos, kindly. We can just stand down here.